Welcome to another Good e-reader video review. This is Marcus.
This is Nick.
And today we're going to do a comparison between the Elocity A7 versus the Velocity Micro Cruz tablet. This is the T301, the newest tablet. They're both cost about the same amount of money. The Elocity is a little bit more expensive. This retails for about $260 to $280, and this is about $320 to $340. So what we're going to do first is just run down the spec comparison and give you guys a little bit of specs. So first of all, the Elocity A7 runs an NVIDIA Tegra 2 T250, whereas the Elocity tablet, we're not too sure on the processor. It's not really listed on the Elocity site.
Nor was it on any sort of other encyclopedia, electronic review site, or any sort of web page or informative.
So this is a harsh unknown, but what we do know is that it really feels like an 800 megahertz to 600 megahertz processor. As far as RAM, the Elocity does 512.
The Velocity Cruz does 256.
There's Android 2.2 on the Elocity.
The Cruz is sitting at 2.0.
For internal memory, there's 4 gigs of internal flash.
This as well has 4 gigs of internal flash.
The resolution, or the screen, is basically 7-inch capacitive touch with a resolution of 800 by 480.
This is a 7-inch capacitive touch as well, 800 by 600.
So this one has a 1.3 megapixel webcam.
This one does not have a camera at all.
They both do Wi-Fi. This one does Bluetooth 2.1.
This one does not do Bluetooth.
On this one, there's one USB port, a micro SD card.
There's a standard SD card slot on the Cruz, as well as a mini USB slot.
Okay, and there is a full HDMI port on the Elocity.
There is no video out on the Cruz.
Okay, it also has a docking connector.
There's no docking connector on the Cruz.
Okay, so let's look at hardware differences first before we get into anything else. You can see here that this is where the USB 2.0 and the HDMI port is, and you can see that there's 2 stereo speakers, one on either side, and you can see here's the headphone jack at the top, as well as where you put the micro SD card here.
And on this one, there's nothing at all on this side, and then on the bottom you see the DC adapter, the indicator light, 3.5 millimeter headphone jacks, and one set of stereo speakers. If we go on this side, you see the volume up and down. Then on the top, you see standard SD, mini USB, hard reset button, and a power button.
Okay, so the differences is this power button is actually lit up to indicate that it's on, whereas this one has no indication if it's on or off. So you can see sort of right here that it is hard to determine if the Cruz tablet is on or off. One of the advantages that the Cruz has over the Elocity is that the Cruz has mini
USB port right here.
So you can easily connect this to your computer in order to transfer media directly to the internal hard drive.
And sorry, Marcus, but I'm going to stop you right there for 1 sec and say I don't think that easily would be the word to use, as we tried this on both of our PCs, the work PC, 2 of our work laptops, personal laptops. We couldn't get the Cruz to recognize. We couldn't get our computers or PCs to recognize this as a Android device, an external hard disk, removable disk, anything at all. I don't know if that is a problem with the device itself, if it's going to be fixed, but we plugged it in as a external device and it did not recognize it.
And just to further elaborate on that, when I had tried hooking this up myself on even my home PC, I have a MacBook Pro, I have a Toshiba laptop. I have a really crazy high-spec system. I even have the Android development kit. So I have all the latest Android drivers, and I was still unable to have this recognized to any PC. And I do know that when you plug it in, you hit the mount button and everything, but that still did not work, whether it was mounted or whether it was unmounted. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is to show you, now that we covered the hardware differences, how it looks between landscape and portrait mode on sort of how fast it does it.
I'll get mine into landscape.
Okay, so this is in landscape, and we're going to flip it to portrait mode. And back again. So you can see that the velocity is pretty well instant. And it also does it not only in landscape and portrait, but it does reverse portrait as well.
You'll notice that the Cruz does as well, but it is far slower than the Elocity.
Does it do a full 360?
It does, yes.
Okay, this doesn't do a full 360, so you can have it in portrait or in a landscape here, but if you try to do like reverse, it actually doesn't do it.
So it does, you'd say I got about 270 there.
Yeah. So it does 270, not a full 360, but it does...
It does it better.
Yeah, already you can see that this beat it out. Also, because this runs an updated version of Google Android, it does run live wallpapers, where the Cruz tablet does not. You can see some of the interface menus on the Cruz tablet that they're software driven. So what that means is that there's no actual hard buttons.
There are no keys, shortcuts, hard keys, soft keys anywhere on the device itself. It is all within the software itself.
Right. Whereas this one, it's onto the hardware. I mean, they're touchscreen buttons.
But they're soft touch that are not driven by the operating system.
Yeah, also you notice that you have the Android bar here, and on the bar on the Elocity you can actually launch music app, gallery, web browser. Yeah, it has shortcuts here where there's no shortcuts there. Also, you can scroll between menus here, but it doesn't actually give you any visual indicators at the top here about what screen that you're on. It's not like the Elocity that you can see that it does show I'm on screen 3, 4, 5. So
right there, there's the little buttons.
Yeah,
tell you.
So it gives you visual prompts, which we really like.
And there's none on this one. And if you'll notice, there are only 3 standby pages, as it is Android 2.0, whereas the Elocity has 5 navigational standby pages.
You're right. So both of these by default come with the Kindle app. So what we want to do is test page turn speed with the Kindle application.
I think that was the one I opened right there.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to basically make sure that we load up the same app.
We doing this in landscape here?
Yeah.
All right. You see that took about 1.5 seconds to process that.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to simply tap to turn pages, and we'll see how fast it goes.
So there you go. You'll see that this one, the Cruz, it almost has this middle frame it hits sometimes while processing to the next page, whereas the Elocity is flawless on every page turn, no matter the amount of content you see within the screen. Whereas the Cruz is hit or miss. You'll get ones like that take a second. You'll get ones like that kind of stop for a second.
Yeah, it's almost like you get half of it. When you press the button, it's almost like half of it, the pages will turn like this, and the other half of the pages will be like instant.
And you'll notice just the fluidness of this. It follows your finger. You can see all the text when you're previewing the next page, whereas this one,
It's choppy.
It's very choppy. I can almost beat it. I can race faster than it would be able to follow me just with page turning alone.
I think half of it is because this is almost double in RAM, and this has a way faster processor. And
Exactly.
I think that it's elements like this that give the Elocity the win over ebook page turns. And at Good e-Reader, of course, we're e-reading and e-reading applications on these devices. This is why we put these sort of devices head to head, because it's almost like a visual representation on how fast these devices are. You know,
Exactly.
we could run apps side by side, but basically page turns are a good visual cue to tell you how fast the unit actually is. So I would say that the Elocity wins
hands down
over page turn speeds.
Readability, at least.
The next thing we want to do is we were going to want to shoot some video and do some video tests head-to-head, but because of the Elocity is unable to play... Velocity is unable to play AVI files.
Which I will demonstrate here for you by going to the File Manager, down to... We have a stock footage of a mountain we have in standard AVI format that played on many devices here in our testing prior to these videos at Good e-Reader. I will simply press the OK on that one, and you will see that upside down it says this video cannot be played. Easy as that. That's the only message we got from that. So that's where we end the line here, and Marcus will show you the video on the Elocity to, I suppose, compare with the video quality on the Cruz.
So yeah, the Cruz reader unable to play...
We'll pretty much put this one out for this comparison test, but just to show you the quality of video you get on this sort of tablet.
So very plug and play.
Nice. As you notice, he plugged the device in, and it showed up in the gallery instantaneously.
Whereas with the Cruz is really lacking in the video department.
What we had to do is get a SD card, put it into an SD reader, put the file onto the SD card, put the SD card in the device into a certain folder. Here it is right here, the same footage of this mountain scene, and I press OK on it and it just says cannot be played. So formats are very much an issue with this. You'll have to get the correct format or else it will not play the file at all.
Okay, now what we want to do is side by side show YouTube. So this is a way that we can you know, at least show video head to head. What I'm going to do is just open up the browser and go to YouTube. Okay, you saw that loaded really fast. And
mind you, we are on the same Wi-Fi connection and it is not bogged down right now. You'll notice I pressed the magnifying glass about 7 times and nothing happened there. It's just the little things that really get to you.
Yeah.
We're going Good e-Reader here?
Yes.
Cool.
And we'll look at the Entourage Pocket Edge review, which is our perennial favorite here at Good e-Reader, one of the best e-reader tablets that we've looked at. Okay, so we're just going to both press play.
And right off the bat, you see that the Cruz cannot play video
on YouTube. So you will have to use...
Let's try the YouTube app on our Cruz. So if you're in the browser and you're heading towards YouTube, beware because you're going to experience some problems.
And that also means with the Cruz that you're unable to play embedded YouTube content.
So let's search YouTube for the same thing as we just did. Here's a save there. Entourage Pocket Edge review.
Okay, now
so we'll see it gets going like that. So if you were to be in the browser, beware. You'll experience a little bit of problems.
Okay, so we're playing the same video head to head here.
the quality speaks for itself.
Yeah, I don't know if it's coming across. Let's sort of show the quality here. You can see it's looking not too bad.
Pretty smooth. And then I'm going to move the Cruz in. And you get blurry, blocky, artifacting, pixelation, lagging. And this is the same video, mind you. This is the exact same uploaded video. Let's see if we can get both of them in the shot here. Let's go like that. Perfect. You'll see the bottom very fluid, very smooth, and on the top it's lagging and the video is zapped of color.
Yeah, it's really dull in grayscale as well as really pixelated, so you almost see like motion trails. You can see how clear the edge or like
just
the
the
edge
writing.
the writing looks, whereas
This
the
is
same writing on here
blurred.
Yeah. So
there's right there. There's a perfect comparison.
So you could see how this pops and this looks so much better. And this is just standard like YouTube. Alright, let's try next keyboard sensitivity, because obviously with any of these devices you're going to be using the keyboard a lot to type things in, such as like web addresses and so on. So what we're going to do is we're both going to go to type in the Good e-reader blog. So we're going to start typing this in. Let's go right now. You can see that this is very sensitive. I was able to type in the whole address and it go really fast. Whereas you can see that there's a lot of delay with the keyboard on the tablet.
There were indeed a couple times where I was pressing the R and a W would show up. Much like when we were typing in our Wi-Fi password, we were both actually took an attempt at it, pressing backspace, and K's and P's would start popping up randomly. So there is definitely a problem with the keyboard's responsiveness, and you can see it's
taking a long time to load as well.
We're on the exact same Wi-Fi network, and we have all of our other devices off for the remainder of this video, and you can see that the banner has not even appeared yet, and the progress bar is still indeed loading.
So once he is able to do that, let's take a look at the review of the Elocity tablet and just both click on that at the same time, and this way we can more or less hit it at the same time and see page load speeds.
So on 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Progress bar is going. You can see at the top here. So his is finished as of right now. The bar has completed, and we'll just wait for the Cruz to catch up a little bit. Once again, it's having a little bit of trouble with images appearing.
Yeah, I'm really happy with the Elocity so far in terms of page load speeds, because no matter what you're doing with the device, whether you're buying it as to read, you're going to obviously browse the internet a lot. And so this is really winning out in terms of it's easier to type on this, and web pages actually load up faster. You see this still has
almost been 30 seconds,
yeah.
And just the headline image of our site has not even appeared yet, even in the slightest. And
I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of images on our site, but you saw that this whole page loaded up like in under 10 seconds, like on a tablet.
So it's still not up, but let's do a little bit of maneuvering here.
Okay, let's try both pinching and zooming and see how that looks.
Alright. It jumped to the top of the page there. So while you're pinching and zooming, you'll notice that your fingers might cross a link, and if it does, you might click it. And another problem that I've noticed, that I've just pressed back a few times. Now, I don't really know where I stand in how many times I've pressed back and what this loading means. For all I know, it could be loading to the main page again. See, it did not. So you gotta, if you press back too many times, you might go further than you want to. There's no real indication on what's loading what. So it's you have to be patient, because I've pressed back a few times and it's
Well, you
Okay.
can pinch and zoom.
So yes, I've tried to catch up to you while pinching and zooming. So let's do that again. You see, there's a little bit of problems, and I'm just doing a regular pinch and zoom here. There we go.
So you can see the pinching. Let's try just pinching at the same time. You can see that the velocity is much more responsive.
It's not the most accurate pinch and zoom you get on the Cruz. I'm trying to really get the resolution in the middle of my screen here, and it jumped to the top of the page suddenly. And
okay, so even if you look at let's look at the text side by side. So this is, we pretty well have it zoomed to the highest one, and you can see how the text really pops on this. You know, it looks really good, whereas if you look at the Velocity tablet...
It's not terrible, but we have definitely seen better.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely seen a lot better.
So this seems like, for internet browsing, it loads pages faster, the Elocity. It also pinches and zooms.
And it has a lot more scrolling maneuverability in the page once it is loaded. You can notice that the page is actually still loading on the Cruz, and I haven't touched anything for about a minute.
Yeah, so there's definitely some disadvantages with sort of other mid-range tablets, and again, with the Elocity, you can watch embedded YouTube videos, where if you scroll here to the unboxing video and press play, you saw how even just pressing play...
It jumped back to the top of the page.
Yeah, so if you do get the Velocity tablet, be prepared for a little bit of patience. Actually, you need a whole lot of patience.
Definitely.
So you saw that we're able to play this video directly in the web browser.
And you'll see the quality difference right off of just the first image.
Yeah.
I'm going to put this right up to there. Look at the... let's just use a reference point. Internet tablet. Now let's bring up the Elocity. Look at that.
Yeah.
This is the same video on the same page on the same Wi-Fi connection.
So it's playing it right in the browser on this. It's the same video, obviously, on both ones, but it pulls up the YouTube mobile version for that.
Exactly.
So
you'll see the formatting.
I would say for the entire internet experience, also we would show Flash comparisons, but this is unable to show Flash content, so there's no point. But you can, you know, interact with Flash elements in pages, like play podcast links. You can play Flash games. So, say for the entire internet experience, I would say the Elocity wins out
over the Cruz.
Right. Also, with the Elocity tablet as well, there's more apps preloaded on here, and it does come with its own version of the market, but it has a Get Jar, but it has with the Elocity branded version. So why don't you hit the Cruz market, and I'll hit Get Jar, and we'll see the apps. Oh, it looks like...
Kidding me. We have if you can't see this, it says we've happened upon a bit of a problem, 500 internal error, that we're working furiously to correct. Things will be up and running soon. Thanks for your patience. So
it looks like the Cruz market is down, whereas GetJar loaded fine. Again, you can get Angry Birds on here. You can get Skype, a ton of different apps, including the Barnes & Noble apps. And there's links for other app stores as well as on the Elocity box. You can go to Elocity. There's an address here that you can go to, elocitynow.com/free apps, and you can get Dropbox and everything like that. This error often comes up, but with the Cruz tablet, you can get apps like Angry Birds. It's really basic. They only have about 9 different apps on there, but they do have links for the AND App Store, which is an alternative market, so you can download apps like FB Reader. You can get Eldico, whereas this comes with it. So this comes with the Adobe Reader, with Eldico and things like that. So yeah, this has been a comparison with the Elocity A7 versus the Velocity
Micro Cruz tablet.
And that's the T301. So the results speak for themselves.
They do.
And we hope that you found this video informative. For Good E-Reader, this is Marcus.
This is Nick.
Everybody take care.